All right, welcome to the lunchtime video. We're going to be learning about the JNCIE again. We're going to be starting a new topic today, so I will share my screen. Okay, and then we'll be moving to my Google Drive where I have all of the curriculum laid out. Okay, so, oops. Yep, so it's under JNCIE-SP, and we're still in device infrastructure, but now we're moving on to automation scripts. So we finished up netconf next time, so we're going to be learning about event options. So let's do well, first let's create the notes file. Okay, and then add the title for the YouTube video and the tags that will be included. Okay, so it's going to be a bit different here. It's going to be, everything's pretty much going to be the same, but instead of netconf, it's going to be event options. Okay, and this is the first video. So I'm gonna remove this. So we got Juniper, yep, network engineering, device infrastructure, network automation. So yep, these are the only tags that I think are needed for this video. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to be using the strategy that I plan to use. From now on. Oh, so we can see, looks like I was able to make a change last time using netconf. I'm not sure why I didn't update my notes. I probably just forgot to, but it looks like I was able to change the host name somehow to -netconf. I probably did that on guest 1, but that was the previous video. We're going to be moving forward in this video. Okay, so, yep, okay, I remember now. I used the command prompt and I used a, so if I go back to that, netconf, it's included in my notes what I used. Just want to refresh this since it was a while ago by now. Yep, so I used, I think, this code here. And, oh yeah, I remember exactly now. So I was able to configure a element system with a sub-element host name, but there was an issue where I couldn't figure an element that had multiple sub-elements, but I decided to just take the L on that. Hopefully something like that is on the test. I doubt there would even be netconf on the test, except for to help you configure things faster. You could use netconf to your own advantage on the test, but I'd be surprised if there are actual scenarios where it required it. But I was able to take the win on all of that just by kind of ignoring that issue and kind of considering that as something that's not part of the requirements. Okay, so, but now we're moving on to event options. So let's use that same strategy on router 1. So help, help, apropos, event. And we'll do type match, help. So these are going to be event options. Aha, here we go. So help topic, event options. So we can't just do that. We've got to add more. So let's go with examples. This chapter includes the following examples. So yeah, let's pick one of these examples, and then I think that will be enough for this topic, and we can move on. So generating an internal event at midnight. This one looks really good because an internal event that would be useful for me would be for the device to restart, because hopefully that would make it overcome that GNS bug where I can't get the prompt back. So let's find that and include a link in our notes. And of course, this is a little bit outdated doc on my router 1 terminal since I'm using not the latest version. So it might not align exactly. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But looks like this is going to be it. Generating internal events to trigger event policies versus generating, okay, so this is the example, and then this is just the reading. Let's include both of them in the notes. Okay, so let's keep reading. Maybe there's another one you can find. So this one looks interesting here, raising an SNMP trap in response to an event. I could see that being very valuable on the job. If you just want to figure out when something is happening, you can raise an SNMP trap in response. Okay, so I think that's all we're going to need. We've also got this day 1 applying Junos event automation guide that I think will be really helpful. So I'll just link to that. But I don't think I'm going to go through that for now. I'm just going to go through these examples and then say that I am finished with this topic. Internal events are events that you create to trigger an event policy. Internal events are not generated by Junos OS processes, and they do not have any associated system log messages. You can configure up to 10 internal events, and you can generate an internal event based on a time interval or the time of day. Event policies can match on internal events in the same way that they can match on other events. Note, if you attempt to commit a configuration with more than 10 internal events, Junos OS generates an error and the commit fails. To configure an internal event, include the following statements at the edit event options hierarchy level. To generate an event at repeated intervals, for example, every hour, configure the time-interval statement and specify the interval frequency in seconds. The time interval can range from 60 through 2,592,000 seconds. For example, the following command configures an event called every hour that gets generated every hour. Set event options generate event every hour, time interval 3,600 seconds. To generate an event at a specific time of day, configure the time of day statement and specify the time at which the event will occur. A time of day event is relative to the local device time and is configured using 24-hour format, hour, :minute, :second. You can optionally include a UTC offset to specify a time relative to UTC. The syntax is hour, minute, second, plus minus hour, minute, where the plus for east of, where the sign is plus for east of UTC and minus for west of UTC. If you omit the UTC offset, Junos OS automatically generates the offset for the time of day statement in the configuration based on the local time zone setting for the device. For example, consider a device that uses Eastern Standard Time, UTC minus 500, and that's because, of course, it's to the west of UTC. So let's see where UTC is. Well, let's finish reading first. The following command configures an internal event called event midnight, which is generated at 12 a.m. every night. So let's see where UTC is, because it looks like it's based on the geography of it. So I think the Wikipedia article is probably going to be the best. So I just want an explanation of it. I want concepts, not commands. Okay, so it is within about 1 second of mean solar time at 0 longitude. And it is not adjusted for daylight saving time. So it is effectively a successor to Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, GMT. So it's based off of geography at 0 longitude. So let's take a look at that. So here's 0 longitude. So we've got countries in 0 longitude, which are United Kingdom, France, bunch of places. So one thing you'll hear in the United States a lot, if you're in my time zone, which is here. I've always lived in this time zone for extended periods of time. I haven't lived in any other time zones for long periods of time. So I'm really used to hearing -6 UTC. So let's see why that is the case. It's because it's to the left of 0. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to the left of longitude 0. So that's why this is -6 UTC. Let's see what it is +6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I were +6, I would be in Russia, China, or parts of India. All right. The resulting configuration automatically includes the device's offset from UTC. If you configure the time relative to UTC, the offset is different from that of the device. Junos OS automatically converts the time to reflect the device's local time and offset from UTC in the configuration. The following example configures an additional internal event called event-midnight-CST that is generated every midnight at 12 a.m. with an offset that is 6 hours behind UTC. The resulting configuration displays the event using the device's local time and UTC offset. I think I'm going to include this in the notes because this was everything I needed and more. If the same device is shipped to a different location and it is configured to use a new time zone, any configured internal events reflect the new local time and time zone offset. For example, if you modify the system time by issuing the set date operational mode command, we recommend that you also issue the commit full or the restart event process command. Otherwise, an internal event based on the time of day might not be generated at the configured time. For example, if you configure the device to generate an internal event and you modify the system time, the event is generated when the system time is approximately instead of at the configured time. You can correct this problem by issuing the commit full or restart event process command. Okay, so this is a really important note, so I'm going to put this whole thing in my notes because I've actually had issues before, and this probably could have resolved those issues if I had known about this. Starting in Junos OS release 14.1, you can include the no-drift option when configuring internal events. When you configure no-drift, Junos OS does not propagate the delay caused in triggering an event to the triggering of the next event. All right, so everything looks good. I'm going to pause the recording here and then come back shortly. Okay, so I'm back and I've finished reading this. So let's go to the example. Generating internal events to trigger event policies. The following two examples generate an internal event. In the first example, the configuration generates an internal event every hour. In the second example, the configuration generates an event every night at midnight. Okay, so let's just skip down to the midnight one. In the following example, the internal event is called Is It Midnight? Is generated at 12 a.m. every night. When the event D process receives the Is It Midnight event, certain actions are taken. So this, of course, has a lot to do with the time zone on the device. So let's see what time it is currently. Show system uptime. So right now it's got the date right and it's got the time. Oops, so it doesn't quite have the time right. It looks like it thinks that it's 12:19 right now. So it'd be nice if I could get NTP working. I had tried that in previous videos, but I was having some issues. I do have a server set up, and then I have it using my management source address. But there was some kind of issue with the server that I couldn't figure out before. I guess I can just give it another shot. Or maybe I can point it to a different server. Okay, so here's the addresses tied to this pool. Let's pick one of them and use that for our NTP server in this command. Oops, and we're going to need to use the actual address. Okay, so everything looks good there. So hopefully, I guess I could have tried to ping it first. Okay, yeah, so there's going to be no route if I do a show route. I don't have a default route here, so I'm not going to be able to use that for my address. Due to the routing table on here, I can't reach out to just any public IP like that. I can only reach out to the routes here. I do not have a static route. I could set one up, actually. Kind of interested in, like, that might be possible. It might get NTP to work. Let me try that, actually. Set routing options static route 0. Okay, so now it'll be able to reach out to that public IP, and hopefully that's enough to have NTP working. Oops. So I thought it would be fine to use this as a source address because once it goes out to my router, it will just NAT it. And then when it comes back in, it'll NAT it again. But I think it's not working because either my router or this Ubuntu Docker guest doesn't have the ability to route it forward. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be a valid configuration. I think I have to point it to my Ubuntu Docker guest. Okay, so I'll need to figure out how to get NTP to work from here. Okay, so before this was missing the root authentication. It has it now, so I can log in with multiple options. Here I logged in with root, but just to go back over these concepts, I can also log in with my Radius account. Yep. And then, of course, from the Ubuntu Docker guest, which appears to be down right now, but if it were, oh, no, it's up. So from the Ubuntu Docker guest, I can log in using my public key. So I don't even need a password at all because it's got my public key saved. That, I think, is the best way to do it, especially if you have network automation enabled, because you don't even have to store any passwords or anything on your device. And then if there's an issue where the public key gets changed on the other side, you know that something happened, you're alerted right away because you can't get in, and you can always, well, I guess in that case, it's kind of a, well, you can still use Radius in that case because it'll fill over to Radius. So having both set up, I think, is the best way to go. I think having a public key on there is the best failover authentication if there's something wrong with Radius. So you can see if I deactivate that configuration, So I can even deactivate the whole thing here because we're going to have this account on the Radius server, so we don't even need it on the local server. So now you'll see that we're prompted for the password, and I can get in with the password Radius now. Okay, well, I'm not sure what's happening here. We did see that I could log in with, oh, you know what? Maybe because I'm already logged in with Radius here, I can't have two users logged in with Radius. Okay, so it is accepting password authentication now, but it unfortunately is not accepting it for my password. So let's try it here again and see. Okay, so there's an issue with the Radius server. I bet you that, so if I do a screen -R, oh, nope, it's still going. So I don't know. Caps lock key isn't on, so let's see what's happening in here. It should show up in the logs. So cleaning up request 12. Let's see if there's anything for request 12. So finished request 12. So let's see where it started request 12. Okay, it's ready to process requests now. So let's have it process another request. Oh, and request 13. So let's see where it finished request 12. Okay, I don't see it. Let's put it side by side and see more clearly what the logs do in real time. So it's not duplicated, it's going to be detach. Okay, so now let's try logging in with the Radius account. Okay, so it's just incorrectly it's just not able to do that anymore. Okay, so that's really interesting, unusual behavior. I was really not expecting that. But I can get in with the failover account, which is root clouds. There you go. So I got in with that, and then I can reactivate that configuration and just get in with my public key. So even though there's an issue with Radius, I think I still kind of made the point a little bit. It's just, it looks like there's some issue with radius that I need to dive in and troubleshoot. So one thing I kind of don't like here. Oh, okay, yeah. So it does show me that. So yep, I've got this committed. So let's see if it works. Okay, so now I can get in with the public key. I'm not sure what the issue was there with radius, but this is not meant to be about radius. It's meant to be about event options, which ties in closely to NTP because we need those times to be correct on our scripts. Otherwise, they're going to be triggering at the wrong time. Okay, so let's read the docs for the NTP library we just got. We're going to need a server, not a client. Okay, so now we're going to need to edit this file. So it looks like they don't have the pool command here. This file contains the list of internet NTP servers that will be used for time synchronization by our NTP server. You should also add a range of IP addresses that will be allowed to use this server as their NTP server. This can be done using the restrict command instead of the allow command. I don't know, get that. But it looks like here we have pool, but there they have server. So I guess I would like to change that to say server instead of pool. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I will. Okay. Oops. Let's try using by. I'm not sure what's happening in nano here. Oops, but I can't use the arrow keys in by. Let's try nano again. So it looks like nano has some special edit mode like by in this case. Oh, no, it was just because of how I had it arranged. Yeah, let's try changing this from pool to server for all of them. Okay, and then let's add the restrict command to allow management to the 172 management IP addresses of all the devices. So by default, exchange time with everybody. but don't allow configuration. So it's going to be under here. All right, so I think that's all we're going to need. In our example, the restrict line will allow clients from the subnet to query our NTP server. Next, restart the NTP daemon with the sudo service NTP reload command. Okay, so hopefully now that we've got the NTP set up correctly, I don't know why it took me literally only like 5 minutes this time, but like an hour video before and I couldn't even do it. But I think I will find out. Yeah, so this is why it took me so much longer before, because I think I did all these steps, but it was still not pulling from the NTP clock. So let's do a set date NTP, and we'll see that I'm having the same issues I had in the previous videos devoted to NTP. Yep, no server suitable for synchronization. So yeah, NTP is kind of a lost cause. I'm not sure what that's. Oh, one thing I see here is changes required to use PPS synchronization. Is that? Am I the one who's just? No, it's REQ. There's no C. Is that like a different word or something? Okay, they just straight up misspelled their configuration file, but changes required to use synchronization server. So yeah, let's read this documentation. Unfortunately, PPS processing is a little necessary. I don't know what that is. Nevertheless, I'll give an example that works. So we'd have to uncomment all this, and then I think have this be the IP of the server. So as seen above, the programming interface specific to the operating system and platform is a messy thing. Therefore, some people decided to make a common programming interface called PPS API. In March 2000, that draft was accepted as an informational RFC. The functions of the API include routines to enable capturing of external events on a specified device is supported. Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest of these. I think I'm just going to uncomment these lines, and then hopefully this is just the default settings are going to be enough. So I'll just uncomment all of those lines, and then I'll restart the service, and hopefully they'll be able to find a synchronization server. Okay, so hopefully things go better now, and it will find the server. Got about 2 minutes, so if things don't go better, I'll have to end the video, even if they do. Okay, so same thing, no server suitable for synchronization. So that's the end of this video on event options. I'm going to need to do another after work video to just go through the rest of the example here. So of course the time is really important to get those triggering at the expected time. So that's why I kind of diverged into NTP for a bit here, but we'll stay on topic even though our time issue is still going to be there for the next video and close out this subject. So thanks for watching.